Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV. Well, it's time now for the first of our studio experts. We're delighted to welcome Tracey Hayward from WR Partners in Shrewsbury. And tell us a bit about you. You've been with the company in its previous incarnation for some time.
I have. I mean, I've been with Whitting and Riddell as was 22 years. So I've been through many changes. This is, I think, the second branding change I've been through, and now I'm on my third partner. So when I started back in the day, it was very, very basic, very, very manual, and we were in an old townhouse, so quite inefficient really when you think back. And now we're in modern premises with all singing, all dancing computers, everything in the cloud. It's quite different.
You were on Belmont Bank, weren't you, in Shrewsbury originally?
We were actually in the town, so we were badged with those kind of people that had to be mindful when the river was rising.
Yes.
So it was very, very different. I mean, the property now is beautiful. It's been converted into residential.
You've kind of gone from that, from paper to computers, and now we're using our smartphones that are in your pocket to do accounting with.
And you know, although I loathe to say it, COVID has really meant that we've moved on even further, because everything overnight had to go completely electronic. So, you know, so we've gone from, yes, less paper approach was our angle in the office, to really no paper unless you absolutely have to.
How many years in advance would you think it's speeded up? You know, would you think it's speeded things up by like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
You know what, I would say 4 years, certainly in my role and the team I'm in, because we were still very much mindful, and this is quite contradictory, of clients and their needs, because they were quite old-fashioned, dare I say. So everybody had to come on board. So yeah, I'd say at least 4 years.
Has that been beneficial to you and your team then? Or?
Yeah, from the learning element in terms of how we've had to use technology now, from understanding our clients more as well, because we kind of really accepted that they were happy with the status quo, but actually 9 out of 10 clients want this change and want to be electronic because they live by their smartphones or their iPads or whatever.
I think if COVID has done one thing for us, it's proved to people that there's more than one way of doing a job, isn't it? Which probably wasn't always the case in the past, was it?
So not at all, not at all. And I think also from us as a small unit and a team, it's made us stronger, because we had to communicate in such a different way by the dreaded Zoom.
Yes.
So that, you know, we've adapted to that as well. Yes, we are more in the office now, but literally, you know, for 6 months we just did not see each other. So
what's your specific role then and responsibilities?
Well, my specific role at WR is my grand title called Director of Employer Services. So basically we're bigging up...
That sounds like a lot.
I tell you, we're trying to big up payroll at the end of the day. We're trying to put it out there. So payroll historically in accountancy practice has just been an added value function, but we're morphing into something so much bigger. So the two partners in question who particularly are head of the business, and they work together, they recognised the fact, that the payroll department needed a leader, and it couldn't just be handled by managers dotted about the building. That, coupled with the fact that we have a Cheshire office, a Newtown office, a Wrexham office, a Ludlow office, so all those payrolls sort of come under me and the team.
Because you acquired Howard
Worth
during lockdown a year or so ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I spend a couple of days a week over in Cheshire with the guys over there, trying to get to grips, even now, how they operate their payrolls and their clients, because they're quite different to Shropshire clients and Welsh clients.
But the clients themselves, I imagine, by the nature, are going to be quite different in the way they want to operate as well, aren't they? And how much can you sort of mould them into, you know, what you want them to do most effectively?
It is a case of they have been used to set ways, and I'm finding that the Cheshire and the Shropshire ways are different, and it's just slowly bringing them on board and making them realise that yes, there is a very good payroll manager in Cheshire, but ultimately they have to recognise that they're clients of WR now, not Howard Worth, and it may come across quite harsh, and you know, we may even appear too corporate for some, but we're just trying to build relationships with those clients.
As long as you're producing the goods for the client, so that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
And with payroll, you have to be on time because it's so emotive because their staff weren't paying.
Has all the Making Tax Digital campaign helped to sort of raise awareness of the need to, maybe modernise some companies?
Certainly, because especially you sort of sole traders that in no disrespect, they're used to being inside an engine, for example. They don't want to know anything else. So the whole, not just payroll, the digital solutions team have been able to give them solutions, hence their name, to how they can get the data to us. It's because there's a lot of software packages out there which are user friendly for people that aren't as savvy, and then obviously we're there as guidance. And then payroll added onto that because they want to be compliant, they want to keep happy staff. So
within the payroll area, you'll be handling things like statutory sick pay things and maternity rules, and rules and regulations in some areas that have changed quite a lot, haven't they, over the last few years?
Yeah, and payroll has had the brunt of that. So I don't want to harp on, but COVID, furlough, etc. That hit payroll quite intensely. And then on top of that, there's been the SSP rebate scheme. And then couple all that with the general rules and regs, with your national minimum wage increases, your statutory pay increases, shared parental leave, which it's a tricky thing to administer, and clients just do not understand it. So we do our very, very best to explain that.
You're constantly learning then, I guess, as well. And
so there are HMRC, in fairness to HMRC, do some really good free webinars which are really intuitive, and we can go on those, but also we're part of CIPP, so the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Payroll, and there's lots of webinars or used to be courses, but of course now it's Zoom. Yes. Again.
With all the work that the likes of HMRC are doing to try to raise awareness as much as they can about the fact that things are changing, are you finding that in general terms clients or businesses are coming to you because they're seeking answers to questions, or are a lot of them not even aware of some of the issues they should be considering at the moment?
It's both, to be honest. Some clients will be on, for whatever reason, the HMRC email list. So they'll get the email and forward it to us and say, what's this?
They say, do I need to worry about this? So I've done that sometimes. I get a piece of paper and say, this looks official. Do I need to worry about this? Or tell me which bit I need to read.
And there's also the side of where they just want us to do that for them. In their eyes, that's what they pay us for in the nicest possible way, and they rely on us to keep them up to speed. And again, with technology, with a stronger marketing team, we can produce documentation that LinkedIn and the website, etc., is throwing out there all the time for them. And equally, we will send PDF mail shots to clients because some aren't interested in LinkedIn, etc. So.
Well, that is the situation, isn't it? There's so many different platforms that you need to communicate. Good old pen and paper and a letter through the post still exists, doesn't it?
And because we can communicate with our clients in the main by email, we're trying to have links on the bottom if there's statutory updates, etc., so they don't get caught out.
What's the biggest challenge at the moment, then, do you think, for either the areas that you specialise in or the businesses that you're dealing with?
I think the biggest challenge is making sure we get the data out to them correctly, just purely and simply in meeting the deadlines. So, with your HMRC deadlines for cutting off the SSP rebate scheme, they stopped that on the 24th of March was the last time you could submit a claim. All well and good, apart from payrolls that come in post the 24th of March that run to the 31st of March, for example. So we've got this week now where we're almost processing backwards because we've already been to the clients to say, have you got any SP rebate claims? So it's just making sure we keep on top and just keep those work planner spreadsheets up to date.
I know for the accountancy profession, January is always a crazy busy month, with the returns need to come in. But is this, March end of financial year a bit of a peak as well or not?
March is, but to be fair, every month end is. So what March gives you is the need to make sure that the final a submission goes to HMRC. But that's just routine, and to be fair, the software tells you, or reminds you. But what we have here now is to make sure everybody gets their P60s. So in theory, we have until the end of May legally to get P60s out to everybody. But we like to do it, just get it done. And again, I'll bring up COVID. Having COVID meant that P60s are going electronic. So as before, we'd have reams of paper being printed, and we used to have an old-fashioned clunking folding machine. So it's called a Z-fold. So these P60s would then be folded through this machine, very manual, very frustrating, used to break down a lot. So now the P60s, it's a touch of a button.
That's quite good. Saves you a bit on the power bills as well, so you haven't got to crank up the machine.
And
as
we
well
haven't got to pay, for the pre-printed stationery. It's just, and okay, it's less steps because you're not going up and down the stairs, but it is much better. But I mean, honestly, our month ends. If anybody says what's your worst time of the month, and it's literally the 2 weeks, because that's when everybody wants to be paid.
So we're very fortunate that you've been able to spare us half an hour of your time.
Oh, I'm having a breakdown
so,
at the minute, thinking about all the things I need to do.
Of all the things that you should be doing now, I need to get back to the office. And
sorry.
No, it's good. It's
lovely
good
to see you.
Good to see you. Now leave me alone and get back to my job. Well, thank you so much for coming in and giving us just a window really into not just your job, but the way the job's changed over the past. Well, not going to say 15 years or so, but the last 2 years. Really,
2 years. So, really, it's hit us really in the last 2 years.
I'll leave you to go and do your homework and deal with the latest end of the month payroll. Thank you. Good
Thank
to see you.
Thank you very much.
Well, this time last week, Carl and I were at AFC Telford United for the Shropshire Chamber of Commerce Business Expo. Let's find out about some of the businesses Carl caught up with.